I always thought I'd feel nervous in the weeks leading up to my wedding. Jittery, overwhelmed, stressed. But I didn't. I felt calm. Not the kind of calm that comes from blind optimism, but the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've found someone you can build a life with. Melissa and I had been together for 3 years. We'd been through enough to know each other's shadows and still say yes. Or so I thought. We were having dinner at La Bottega, the little Italian place where I first told her I loved her. She was glowing. Wedding planning looked good on her. She was sipping her red wine, smiling between bites of gnocchi, flipping through Pinterest photos on her phone. The conversation was light. Venue decor, flower arrangements, honeymoon destinations. Then, out of nowhere, she said it. I invited Darren, she said, casually, like she was mentioning a coworker. I blinked. Darren? Yeah, Darren, she said, not looking up. My ex. I set my fork down. Your ex-boyfriend Darren? Don't make it weird, she said with a soft laugh, finally meeting my eyes. We're adults. He's married now. His wife's overseas for a few months. It felt petty not to invite him. I stared at her, waiting for a punchline that didn't come. You want your ex at our wedding? She tilted her head like I was the one being strange. Peter, it's not that deep. He was a big part of my past. This is about showing we're mature enough to be okay with that. Don't you trust me? That was the moment it shifted. That single word, trust. Not love, not excitement, not even nostalgia, trust. As if that's what this was. Some test I hadn't agreed to. I took a breath, trying to push the unease back down. I just don't get the point, I said. Why risk discomfort on a day that's supposed to be about us? He's not going to make a scene, she replied. He was supportive when we broke up. We stayed friends. Supportive, friends. All these words dropped on the table like stones in a still pond. I smiled, because I've always known how to mask discomfort when I need to, if it matters to you. Okay, just don't be surprised if I seem a little thrown. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. That's why I love you. You're so grounded, but grounded wasn't what I felt. I felt something shifting beneath me, not an earthquake. Just the start of one. The kind you don't notice until a crack appears under your feet. Later that night, as we curled into bed, she scrolled on her phone with a half smile. I asked who she was texting. She said Sophie, her maid of honor, without hesitation. But I saw the flicker in her eyes, and I remembered something else. Months ago, she told me Darren's wife was a nurse stationed in Germany. Now, it was overseas for a few months. That math didn't check out. It was small, but lies always start small. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Over the next week, Melissa changed. Just enough for me to notice. She was still affectionate, still present, but something in her rhythms slipped out of sync. She took her phone with her everywhere, even into the bathroom. She'd turn it face down when she wasn't using it. She started locking it, which she never used to do. The moments of silence between us grew longer. When I asked simple questions about her day, about rehearsal dinner plans, she'd answer, but with a defensive edge that hadn't been there before. Are you okay? I asked one night while brushing my teeth. She was sitting at her vanity, touching up her hair, though we weren't going anywhere. She glanced at me in the mirror. Why wouldn't I be? You just seem distracted lately, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Just a lot on my mind. The wedding, family drama. Don't overthink it, but I was already overthinking it. Or maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was seeing clearly for the first time. It all came to a head one night while Melissa was asleep beside me. Her soft breathing beside me was the only sound in the dark. I should have tried to sleep, but instead, I lay there wide awake, my thoughts spiraling. Then I remembered something. Her old iPad, the one she used to use before switching to her newer phone. She had once mentioned it still backed up her messages, since through the cloud. I got up slowly, heart pounding harder than it should have. The iPad was in her desk drawer, dead. I plugged it in, waited. When the screen finally lit up, my stomach tightened. I opened the Messages app. There they were. Hundreds of texts. Not to Sophie. To Darren. It started innocently, casual catch-ups, friendly compliments. But it didn't stay that way. It never does. You still know how to make me laugh like no one else. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd waited a little longer. Don't worry, Peter doesn't suspect anything. And then, I'll be sitting close at the wedding, Just promise me a moment alone. We'll make it look like a coincidence. I just want to see you up close again." There was no mention of a wife, no mention of guilt, just stolen affection wrapped in old memories. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned, and yet, I didn't throw the iPad. I didn't storm into the bedroom to wake her. I just sat there, letting the truth settle inside me like wet cement. I didn't love drama. I loved clarity. And now, I had it. The next day, I found Darren's wife, Claire, on Instagram. Her profile was public. No mention of being overseas. In fact, her most recent post was just a few days ago, a photo of her with Darren at a restaurant. Tagged locally, I messaged her, "Hi Claire, I know this is strange, but I think we need to talk privately. It's about your husband and my fiancé." She didn't respond right away. I went to bed wondering if I'd even hear from her. But when I woke up the next morning, her reply was waiting. "This better not be what I think it is." Claire and I spoke that evening, not with the fire of betrayal, but with the exhaustion of people too tired to scream. She asked for proof, and I gave it. Screenshots of the messages between Melissa and Darren. Every smiley, every late-night text, every quiet betrayal pretending to be harmless nostalgia. She wasn't shocked. She was quiet, numb. "I knew something felt off," she finally said. "He told me he had a work conference next weekend. Now I know where he was planning to be." There was a long pause. I could hear the clink of glass on her end. "Maybe wine, maybe water." Then she said the words I had been thinking since I saw that first message. "They were going to use your wedding to see each other again." It wasn't a question. It was a confirmation of something we both knew. Something neither of us wanted to be true. It couldn't deny anymore. I asked her if she wanted me to confront them. She said no. "Not yet," she said. "Let's do this right, quietly, with dignity." So we made a plan. The rehearsal dinner was that Friday. All the guests would be there, my parents, her family, bridesmaids, groomsmen, co-workers, friends. I would show up late. With Claire, we wouldn't yell, we wouldn't accuse. We'd just exist, side by side, and let the truth speak through silence. That entire week felt surreal. Melissa acted like everything was perfect again. She kissed my cheek in the mornings, practiced her vows in front of the mirror, even sent me cute photos of the table settings. If she noticed my distance, she didn't mention it. Maybe she thought I was just pre-wedding stressed. Maybe she believed her secrets were still safely buried. The night of the rehearsal dinner, I told her I'd be a bit late. Last-minute text fitting, I said. She smiled. "No problem, babe. Just don't keep me waiting too long." When I arrived, the room was warm with laughter and clinking glasses. Melissa sat glowing at the head table, and right beside her, Darren, his hand a little too close to hers, their heads tilted a little too comfortably toward each other. Then she looked up and saw Claire standing next to me. Her smile cracked. It was subtle, but enough. Enough for Darren to notice and shift uncomfortably in his chair. We didn't walk over. We didn't need to. Claire stayed back by the entrance while I made my way to the microphone. I cleared my throat. "Thank you all for coming tonight. Really, but I need to make a quick announcement." The room fell quiet. "There won't be a wedding." A few gasps. Someone dropped a fork. Melissa stood up, pale. "Peter." I raised a hand. "Melissa, don't, please." Then Claire stepped forward. She didn't raise her voice. She simply said, "Darren told me he was going out of town for work this weekend. I guess he meant this dinner." Melissa's mouth opened, then shut. Darren turned red, then pale. No one moved. Claire and I walked out together, calm, measured, done. Outside, the air was cool, the sky impossibly clear. "You sure you're okay?" I asked her as we reached our cars. She gave a tired smile. "Not even close. But I think we just did the only thing that will help." I nodded. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel confused. I didn't feel angry. I felt clean.